this bottom line.
What does that mean to a little company that Montalban says? From out of our garage to a leading international food distributor. My American dream came true.
Now, Mr. Craig Zollinger.
For my introduction, that's terrific. Good afternoon to be recognized. Mauricio Simbeck of Milagros de Mexico in San Francisco. Chris and Denise Hernandez of Hernandez Companies in Phoenix, Arizona. And Carmen Montalban Sales in Ontario. Congratulations to all of you. Coming from the financial services world often means we measure ourselves with numbers. So here are a few that make me very proud as we continue our partnership with the USHCC and the Hispanic community. JP Morgan Chase has invested over $25 million in organizations directly tied to helping Hispanics achieve in school, get good jobs, and become homeowners. Again in 2013, Chase was the #1 SBA lender to women and minority-owned businesses, something we're incredibly proud of. Our company's employee-led business resource group, Adelante, was recognized as the best of its kind by this very chamber. Our supplier diversity team is consistently recognized as best in class. And lastly, we were very excited to learn that one of our own vendors, Joe Zuby, head of Zuby Advertising, is receiving an award today for his tremendous leadership in his field of Hispanic advertising. Before I close, I'd also like to acknowledge Governor Herbert. The governor has advanced an agenda that is focused on jobs, education, and economic prosperity for all Utah citizens. As Vice Chairman of the National Governors Association and past Chairman of the Western Governors Association, Governor Herbert is a leader of thought and action among his peers. The energy and dedication of the governor and other elected officials has created a local economy that is among the most vibrant and diverse in the country. So thank you, Governor, for celebrating with us today, and thanks to all of you for being here on this great occasion.
One moment, Julian would like to say a few words. So Julian,
I want to thank you all tonight. My mother came to this country illegally 30 years ago for a better opportunity for herself and her 3 children. I don't think she would have imagined that I would have been an entrepreneur and an MBA, but we made it, and thanks to Grupo and the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce that can make this possible. Thank you very much.
Free markets, free enterprise, and the ability for people to rise, and the ability for businesses to be more than they are at any particular point in time. Finally, I want to thank a great group of folks, Thomas Arts. I want to thank my wife, Kathy, of 45 years, who gave me 3 incredible sons who are partners. And I want to thank all the folks that are at our Thomas Arts table. I want to thank Ann Wood, our president of marketing, Alex Guzman, who is president of La Galleria. Yes, I knew we'd get a man. And I want to express appreciation to Executive Creative Director Jeff Olson and all the folks that have helped to help this relationship along. Finally, I would just say, when it comes down to it, it's about competing. It is about competing at whatever level we're at. Whether we are selling a business or a service or a product, it is all about trying to make sure we understand who that target is and know that for every dollar that a consumer spends, we have 3 to 50 other competitors that are out for that dollar. So it is about excellence, and in that way, I salute USHCC in promoting networking and in promoting all the skills that are necessary to compete in a world that presents more opportunity today in our minds than ever before. Thank you, welcome, and God bless America.
I arrived 4 years ago from Venezuela, welcoming a branch to the United States. Like many immigrants started on the United States, I came here seeking refuge, opportunity, and right to exercise our giving to the right free speech. Sadly, this right no exists in Venezuela and another country today. I stand before you as proof that the American dream is alive and strong, and that the United States continue to be the land of freedom and opportunity. Today, I proudly call the United States my home country. As a CEO and owner of BEME, I am proud to know that BEME is the largest Spanish-owned TV network in the United States, covering with 70 million households. I stand committed to contribute to the great nation and help Latino advance. When I decided to invest in BEME TV network, I saw the opportunity to pay back this country for what I have received. BEME offer sometimes that's needed in the country. Spanish television that's educational, that do not perpetuate stereotypes of Latino, and they encourage us to maintain connection with cultura and español. Well, strongly with English, I hope some of you will re-engage with our Spanish language watching BEME TV. In closing, I again express my humble thanks for honor and will continue to help another achieve their American dream. Good continued place to American USA. Thank you so much.
Michelle, that was brave. It's hard when something like that happens and you're on stage, and she's a great friend, and I admire everything that she's done with her company. So I want to thank Michelle. Of course, I have to recognize the head of the USHCC, Javier Palomares, Mark, the board of directors. I want to thank all of the sponsors, the honorees today, and of course my fellow honoree, Eligio Cedeño. I also want to thank and recognize my husband, David, who's here with me. And he's here today. He supported me for my entire career. I couldn't have done it without him. And, you know, I'm in transition. I recently stepped down from my company after almost 30 years. I started off with La Opinion, built that company, took it over as CEO, became CEO of the holding company, and just last June I announced that it was time to rewire, and so I did step down, and I have to say that my career has been absolutely extraordinary, but so much of it was unanticipated. You know, I didn't start off in business 30 years ago with a blueprint that laid out this clean path that would take me to the C-suite. Success was acquired. It was one small step at a time. It wasn't a straight line, and certainly it wasn't always easy. And you as entrepreneurs understand the sacrifices, the trade-offs, the difficult decisions that we have to make, but we forge on because we believe in what we're doing. My inspiration came not from a desire to build a resume, but to build a strong, growing, and sustainable business. One that created jobs, that served communities, and contributed to the advancement of our Latino community. We identified strategic opportunities, we built on our strengths, we understood how to differentiate ourselves from our competition, we stayed true to our core values, we focused on the customer, and we hired and nurtured talent in order to get things done. And we embedded our work in a culture of learning and innovation, of creativity and flexibility, and most importantly, boldness. And we had a lot of fun along the way. We took a company that was family-owned, third generation, and local to one that is national, reaches 20+ million Latinos across multiple products and platforms. And just last week, I'm proud to say, on September 16th, our flagship, La Opinion, where I started, founded by my grandfather, a Mexican immigrant to the United States, celebrated its 88th anniversary. Not bad, not bad. But today's luncheon, and in fact this entire conference, is to acknowledge and celebrate you, our Hispanic business leaders. We are today at a threshold where our economic power is now truly being felt. We have more access to capital, market opportunities are everywhere, demographics are on our side, and international trade has finally made that all-important pivot south. But I would urge us, all of us, to use our growing economic clout as a way of also flexing political muscle. If we can bring all of this together to coalesce around issues like education, so that our next generation is prepared to compete in this knowledge economy, issues like immigration, as we heard yesterday, so that we can fully capture the entrepreneurial drive and spur innovation, and issues like voter outreach, so that our voice is reflected in government, in public policy, and legislation. We've made great progress, but there's much more for us to do. And you, our business community, has a powerful role to play. So I want to thank all of you for this honor, for being here, for being advocates for our community, and most importantly, for being that all-important symbol of success. You are shaping our collective narrative. It's because of you that our story today is one of dynamism and positive impact. So thank you very much for this award, and I encourage all of you to keep doing what you're doing. This is our future. Muchísimas gracias.
Gracias. Gracias, amigo Javier. I'm honored to be here with you today, and I appreciate the opportunity to have to speak to you, and bienvenidos. Welcome to one and all. Utah is doing very well, and I'll tell you a little bit about that as part of my remarks. But my first order of business really is to just welcome you to Utah. Some of you, I found out this is your first time. We hope it's not your last time. We want you to come back and visit often. Know that you're welcome. Know that we have great people that go along with our great landscape. And most of you know about, and some of you have had the opportunity to ski in our greatest snow on earth, as we call it. But it's not just the snow, it really is other parts of Utah. We have 5 national parks, 43 state parks. We have an Office of Outdoor Recreation to accommodate all the activities that you have here in the state of Utah, from hiking, biking, fishing, four-wheeling, to golf, tennis, the typical sports, but beautiful scenery, vistas and venues which are spectacular. So we invite you to come back and participate in our outdoor recreation activities and our indoor recreation activities. We have a world-class symphony, rated 7th best in America. we have the ballet, we have the opera, we have the Mormon Tabernacle Choir. We have a lot of great art here in the state of Utah that you would have an appreciation for. So welcome to Utah, welcome Salt Lake City. We hope you enjoy your time here. Now, let me just mention a couple of things. We are having great success in Utah, and mainly it's because we have great people. At the end of the day, most all the successes that we see and enjoy, those who've received honors here during this lunch hour, it's about people and their ideas and their willingness to go out there and share the ideas and create something that makes it better for other people. It's a great system. Goods and services that make other people happier, more successful, and in doing so, they make their own lives better, more successful, sometimes even monetarily successful. But the sense that comes from service, from helping your fellow man, is a great blessing that comes from the entrepreneurial spirit, the business community. And so I appreciate the fact that the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce has chosen to have their conference here in Utah. And I'm very pleased to see that it's the largest attendance that you've ever had. Now, when I was working with Javier, he was concerned, could we handle it? Could we handle this? I had to remind him, we hosted the 2002 Winter Olympics here. We hosted the world. So if we can do that, we can certainly handle this convention here, and I hope you've enjoyed it so far. As we look around, again, one of my good friends, Don Salazar, who's been mentioned, again, the president of Creative Times Incorporated, whose contributions to education and to business and the public and private sector of service are legendary here in our state. He's just been a great example to so many of us of what you can do in a free market situation and give of your time and talents back to the community as you have opportunity to do so. We're proud that Don's going to serve in 2016 as the chairman of the U.S. Hispanic Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors. That's a great feather in the cap for the people of Utah to have Don serve in that position as the first Utahn ever to be selected for that position. Well, Don's one of the more prominent ones that we know and we honor here today, but he's not the only one, I can tell you. He's not alone. We have, everywhere you look in the state of Utah, you'll see Hispanic business people involved in every walk of life, whether that's in scholastics, whether that's in research at our universities, whether that's in physicians, lawyers, soldiers, law enforcement officers, entrepreneurial business people. Hispanics are a big part of our fabric here of Utah. Indeed, it's an expanding force in our state. We have now between 15 and 16% of our population of about 3 million people here in the state of Utah, which are Hispanic. And their impact is one that's been very positive for our economy as their work ethic ripples through the marketplace. Right now, just to give you some idea of where we're at, Utah is the second fastest growing economy in America. Second only to North Dakota, which is the fastest growing economy. Again, it's the Bakken field, the energy aspect, which is remarkable. But what I'm really pleased about in Utah is not only the second fastest and nipping at North Dakota's heels, but we're the fourth most diversified economy here in America. So we don't have all of our economic eggs in one basket. That means we have reason to be very optimistic about the future. There's opportunities for so many more people and so many more business areas and disciplines. So the fact that our economy is expanding dramatically is really encouraging. As Javier has mentioned, our unemployment down at 3.5%, second lowest in the nation now, only second to North Dakota. And when I came into office, we were at about 8.5%. So we made tremendous strides over these last 5 years to improve the economy and turn it around, and our Hispanic population has been a big part of that effort. In fact, let me just illustrate a little bit to you. We have 360,000 Hispanic Latinos in the state of Utah, 16% of our population I mentioned. There are over 10,000 now Hispanic-owned businesses in Utah. Hispanic-owned businesses in Utah have skyrocketed over the past 5 years from 5,177 firms to over 10,000 firms today. That's about 3 times faster, by the way, than the average growth of all of our firms in Utah during that same period of time. So disproportionately, the Hispanic business group is growing faster than the rest of our economy. Our Utah Hispanic population has purchasing power now of over $7 billion. which is an 846% increase over the last 13 years. So again, the impact cannot be overstated as far as what's taking place here. And again, I just want to mention and maybe highlight a couple as examples of what's taking place in our state. Sabrina Morales, owner of Linguistica International, Utah-based, a Utah-based company that provides information and translation services in 190 languages nationwide. Sabrina's company has grown 42% since 2005 and now employs over 1,500 interpreters in Utah alone and about 3,000 nationally. She graduated from the University of Utah. She understood how important education was. She got her master's degree in public administration, and she was recently named one of Utah's 30 Women to Watch by Utah Business Magazine here this year. So again, a great success. She also served as chair of my Latino Advisory Council in 2010 and 2011. Let me mention also Jorge Fierro. Jorge, who left law school when he was in Mexico a number of years back to pursue the American dream. I want to go to America and see what I can do in America. One who he knew would be realized with a little hard work and some vision, persistence, commitment, which takes a necessary ingredient to have success. Jorge was actually herding sheep in Wyoming. He was washing dishes part of the time in Salt Lake City. He began selling his fresh pinto beans at farmers markets. And it may have been a small start to his big dreams, but Jorge was just getting started after securing a Utah microenterprise loan here in Utah in 1997. He began distributing his Rico de la Olla pinto beans to businesses. Soon his business expanded to the point that he relocated his business to the city's warehouse district, and currently his Rico manufacturing operations employ about 55 people and produce over 125 different products, which he now distributes to supermarkets and restaurants from Jackson, Wyoming to Las Vegas. 4 years ago, Jorge also opened a sophisticated restaurant and wine bar he called Frida Bistro, which is now introducing a wide variety of Mexican flavors to Utahns. Again, he's found a niche in the marketplace, and he's developing his entrepreneurial spirit. He's having success. I love success stories. I love success stories like the two of you told you, and Don Salazar. They are not only their stories, but they are our stories. They give us motivation. They give us hope. They inspire us to do greater things beyond ourselves in the business world. They are the American stories. They're Utah stories. They're our stories here together today. The success stories attest to the fact that the entrepreneurial spirit is alive and well in Utah. Now, a lot of people ask me, why is Utah having such great success? They don't ask so much about North Dakota. I mentioned about the energy up there. People know that's being driven by all this energy development there in the shale fields there with natural gas and oil. But they wonder about Utah. I'm here to tell you, it's part of what binds us with the Hispanic community. It's the culture that we have here, which is somewhat unique. It goes back to the early days of the founding of Utah when it was a territory. Most all you know some of the history of the Mormon pioneers that came into this valley, not finding a place that was welcome to them in the east, and so coming to a place where they could find a place that was more isolated. And believe me, they found a place that was more isolated here in Utah. On their way, going through Wyoming, they ran into a fellow by the name of Jim Bridger. Jim Bridger was a trapper. He's a frontiersman. And he talked to Brigham Young. He says, "Hey, Brother Brigham, where are you going?" "I'm going out to the Utah Territory." "Have you ever been to Utah Territory before?" "No." "Do you know where you're going?" "I'll know it when I see it." And he says, "Brother Brigham, let me tell you, that's pretty hostile territory there in Utah. In fact, it's so bad, I'll give you $1,000 if you can grow a bushel of corn." That's how desolate it was here in this valley. As they came through Party's Canyon and looked, they didn't see anything but more of an arid desert floor, and a couple of trees, and a little creek called City Creek that went through the middle of what's now Salt Lake City. But they said, "We will work hard. We'll roll up our sleeves," and they took an Old Testament passage in Isaiah that said, "We will make the desert blossom as a rose." and by developing a sophisticated irrigation system, capturing the snow melt and creating reservoirs and canals and ditches, they irrigated this land and literally made it blossom as a rose. Now, I use that as an example of what we've tried to create here in a business environment, to make it blossom as a rose. We understand that you as entrepreneurs and business people, you just want opportunity. Give me a chance. Keep government off my back and out of my wallets, and let me go out there, compete in the marketplace, and see if I can't develop some goods and services that the people want. We've tried to do that in Utah. My father was an old Idaho farm boy, and I grew up with a garden around the home I lived in all my life. My father taught me some valuable lessons out there in the garden. One of them he taught me was the most important thing about having a successful garden was the soil. Having good soil. I says, why, Dad, is it important? Well, if you have bad seed or mediocre seed, if you have a good soil, you can plant it, and if you take care and tend the garden, you can still have a valuable crop. But if you have bad soil, even if you have good seed, sometimes it won't germinate, it won't blossom. And so we've tried to use that as a metaphor here in Utah to create a fertile environment, a good soil for the business entrepreneur. And in doing so, we've made sure we have competitive tax rates. We've lowered our tax rates so that you, the business person, can keep more of your hard-earned money, reinvest into your company, and your employees, and yourself, have a market share and a profitability that allows you to stay in business and to thrive, as Javier has talked about, to thrive in the marketplace. We've also reviewed our business regulations, because we know it's not just taxes that impede your success, but many times the regulations that we have that are nonsensical, that get in the way of profitability. And so we've tried to make sure that we have regulations that are sensible. In fact, we went through here 2 years ago and reviewed all the regulations in Utah. We counted them up. We found we had 1,969. We know that regulations have a purpose, they, level the playing fields or to protect properties, protect the public. But we found out in counting them up, we had 368 of these regulations that had no public purpose. They were just simply a drag on the economy. So we did what you would want us to do, and that was to eliminate those 368. Now we monitor the regulations we put on the books. We have cities doing the same thing now in the state of Utah. I hope I can get Washington, D.C. to do the same thing, to monitor those regulations.
Buenas noches. How we doing, Utah? Salt Lake City. Before I begin, I want to take a moment to call out an individual who is almost single-handedly responsible for all of us being here tonight. And that gentleman is Don Salazar. Don Salazar, his wife Janet, his children Andrea, Justine, and Sevi. And I just met his brother who came in. And more importantly, and special to me, Don's dad, Don Jose Salazar. Thank you, Don Salazar, for raising such a fine man. And thank you, Don Salazar, for convincing us to come to Salt Lake City. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the United States Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, our board of directors, and our staff, welcome to our 2014 National Convention. This has been a long time coming. That's right. I'd like to give special thanks to our convention corporate chair, Wells Fargo, for their unwavering faith, their guidance, and their support. And to my friend Jose Mas of Mas Tech, for your friendship, your commitment, and for serving as HBE chair of this convention. I'd also like to thank BBVA and Thomas Arts for sponsoring tonight's reception please everyone, help me thank these individuals. And I think I already told you a little bit about Don Salazar and his family. But what's important is that we remember that the Salazar family was living in this territory before Utah was a state. That's how long and how deep the roots go right here in Salt Lake City. Don Salazar, Chairman-elect, and thank you, Don, for welcoming us to your majestic city in this truly magnificent state. Of the United States Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, I have the honor of representing 3.2 million Hispanic-owned businesses that together contribute over $486 billion to our American economy every single year. We also advocate on behalf of 200, and as of last night, 238 major American corporations, and we do this through our network of over 200 local chambers and business associations nationwide. And while the USHCC represents the interest of businessmen and women who happen to be of Hispanic descent, we never forget that first and foremost, we are American businesses. And every tax bill we pay, every job we create, every product we manufacture, and every service we provide goes to benefit this American economy. Throughout, USHCC travels from coast to coast, looking for those special places where our vision for a brighter American future resonates. Places where the success stories of America's entrepreneurs are openly shared and celebrated. From Dallas to Chicago, from Los Angeles to Miami, we brought our convention to metropolitan areas that are known for their economic strength, their pro-business climate, and their welcoming embrace of all of those who seek to work and contribute. But this year's convention is far more than a networking opportunity. This is a celebration. It's a celebration of the core values that bind us together as entrepreneurs, as a community, and as one indivisible nation. Which brings us to Utah, where we continue to see a shared appreciation for those very strong values. For years, Utah has been recognized for its prospering economy and for its embrace of diversity. And perhaps that's why Utah is ranked the #1 pro-business state in America by the Wall Street Journal. And that's right, that deserves an applause. And it was also named the best state for business by Forbes magazine for 3 years in a row now. And part of the secret of that success is our burgeoning Hispanic business community. Beyond these quantifiable achievements, there's something transformative and truly inspiring about Utah. This open and accepting culture of the American West has been particularly welcoming to the Hispanic community. In fact, Utah's Hispanic population has grown by over 82% in the last decade alone. Yep. And right now, there are more than 10,000 Hispanic-owned businesses in this state, contributing billions to the state's economy every single year. It's evident that Utah has long been a safe haven for the disenfranchised, welcoming those who come here to wish to build a new life. In fact, this very city was built by the hands of men and women who were desperately seeking a place of their own. And in 1847, the city's founder, Brigham Young, saw this very valley and famously declared, "This is the place." Well, I think that Brigham Young was right. And right now, 167 years later, After 4 years of prayer, planning, and pure hard work, I am proud to announce that, in fact, this is the place. And this is where we will begin our 2014 National Convention. And history will be made once again right here in Salt Lake City. That's right. We brought our convention to Utah not because it's the most ethnically diverse place in America. It isn't. We're here because of individuals like Governor Gary Herbert, like Ken Gardner, Lou Kramer, Dave Thomas, Greg Weingartner, Elder Whitney Clayton, and the CEO of Zions Bank, Scott Anderson. All of them argued convincingly for Salt Lake City. Now, I'll be real honest with you, at first glance, these gentlemen don't appear to be the most diverse bunch in the world. And they're as white as the driven snow. I mean, they really cannot dance, and not a single one of them can jump. But, in all seriousness, they represent the very best that America has to offer. These men illustrated a different diversity, a real diversity, a diversity of mind, a diversity of heart, and a diversity of spirit. And that is what makes America the greatest country in the world. And that's what makes Utah absolutely exceptional. And speaking of exceptional, there is one woman who embodies the volunteer spirit for which Utah is well known, and deservedly so. Now, you know that every year we select a local nonprofit and we try to call light to their work. We try to call attention and draw support for the important work that nonprofit is doing. It has nothing to do with the USHCC. And I want to tell you about a very special woman that I hope is with us tonight. I haven't seen her, but I want you to please listen. This exceptional woman is named Mary Lee Robinson, and she's the founder and executive director of the TAG Foundation and Ranch. Mary Lee's organization is dedicated to teaching at-risk youth important life lessons about responsibility, self-confidence, and teamwork. And it accomplishes this admirable mission through a unique horsemanship camp and outdoor activities at the TAG Ranch set in the beautiful Wasatch Mountains. This is exceptional work being done on behalf of children who don't have a voice and who need that help. Please give a round of applause for this remarkable servant leader and the important work that TAG Ranch does for children all over America and right here in this area. And Utah, we're in Salt Lake City to send a clear message and to show that we're more than a historical aberration. We're a defining feature of the changing face of America. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Welcome to Salt Lake City, and welcome to the 2014 National Convention. Thank you. One more thing. This is not scripted. This is not scripted, but I need to say this. It is my pleasure to introduce you to a young man who I think truly puts service before self. Please listen. This is a man who is illustrative of everything that the USHCC stands for: dedication, integrity, and vision. And this young man is the first ever Hispanic Attorney General in the history of the state of Utah. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome our friend, the Honorable Sean Reyes, Utah Attorney General.
Tonight, much better. Thank you so much, Javier, for that introduction. I call Javier the Latino Peter Pan because First of all, he's so good looking. You know he has that youthful energy and enthusiasm. He must have some pixie dust to appear all the places that he does. And for those of you who've known him for a long time, he never ages. He looks exactly the same as when I met him over a decade ago. Thank you all for being here. It is such a privilege to host you here in our fair state of Utah and in our city of Salt Lake. I have been to many of these conventions around the country, from Texas all the way to Puerto Rico, and it is surreal for us to be hosting you here. There are so many of us who've worked for a long time to be able to have this privilege, and it's truly a privilege. I also want to acknowledge and thank a few people before I get to my remarks. First, for our outgoing chair, Mark Rodriguez. Chairman Rodriguez, what a fine job you've done with this wonderful organization this past year. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in acknowledging his efforts and his work and his dedication.
No los oigo. Buenas noches. No, that didn't sound good enough. I know all of you, especially at Tejanos, are louder than that. I can hear you in the house. Buenas noches. All right, good evening. Thank you for welcoming BBVA Compass again as your presenting sponsor for this opening reception, this welcome reception. My name is Raimundo Ocañas. I'm from the state of Texas. I can tell that our Houston Hispanic Chamber emerging leaders are here tonight.
For implementing our company's community and economic development programs in several of our markets in California. He's here with us tonight. His dedication to economic development has earned him numerous awards over the years. There's several that I would read to you, but in the spirit of brevity, I'm going to jump right to the introduction. The one thing I want to say is that I know Tim, and I can tell you in talking with him that what he is most proud of is his work with the Hispanic Chambers of Commerce and his experience in working side by side with dozens of chamber leaders to help small business owners realize their dreams. So without further ado, I want to bring Tim to the podium. Tim, thank you.
Good evening, everyone. That's as loud as I get. I was telling someone that I was with my daughter at a Katy Perry concert last night, and every time I would be quiet, she said, "Dad, you're not cheering," and so my voice is kind of gone. So I would really appreciate it if you don't make me yell tonight. Thank you in advance. Buenas noches, and welcome to the 35th Annual Hispanic Chamber of Commerce Convention. I'm Tim Rios, and it's truly a pleasure to be here with all of you. Wells Fargo is a longtime supporter of the USHCC, and I want to be the first to forecast that this is going to be a wonderful conference. I'm sure others have already, but you know, I want to thank and congratulate Javier Palomares if I can, and if I could just have just a little bit of quiet, I want to tell you a story about Javier because it's important. You know, this is a big convention, and there's a lot going on. It's a great event, a lot of wonderful networking opportunities, great information, and it is a big event. But last year, there's a program that the USHCC ran, and one of our small chambers in Fresno was having a hard time accessing information. By chance, I called Javier, and he answered the phone, which is something a lot of people don't do nowadays. And I let him know about this small chamber in Fresno that was having a hard time accessing information. And he said, "Tim, let me have their phone number, give me the name, I want to call them, and I want to clear this up." And guess what? He did that. So it's not just about these events that Javier cares about. He will call the smallest of our chambers in the chamber network to help someone succeed in what they want to do. So thank you, Javier, for caring about these large events, but not forgetting the small communities in our small chambers. Since 2001, Wells Fargo has pledged nearly $2.1 million in support of the USHCC, including a $700,000 multi-year commitment that we made in 2013, the largest ever with the USHCC. We've been a long-time proponent of small business, And when we started in 1852, a lot of people don't know that the managers of those small branches of Wells Fargo were also small business owners, and they built the business in their communities and also the communities themselves. And like the agents 162 years ago, you are helping to build our communities. Your success is crucial for so many reasons, and it's one of the reasons that Wells Fargo is committed to helping small business owners be successful. I'd like to take just 1 minute to expand on what commitment looks like. Number one, Wells Fargo has set a new 5-year goal to lend $100 billion to small businesses by 2018. That's in 5 years. And I'll tell you that it's not by making loans of $5 or $6 million. In fact, through our small business unit, the last time we checked, the average loan size is about $28,000 to $30,000. So it truly is about small businesses. We've also launched Wells Fargo Works for Small Business, which helps provide information, resources. It's online, and if you've not visited Wells Fargo Works for Small Business, please do so today. And lastly, Wells Fargo is one of the leading SBA lender, and as we know, the Small Business Administration is crucial for the growth of our small business owners. Increasing loans to small businesses is one of our highest priority, and I'm happy to say that since 2009, we've loaned $5.8 billion to Latino-owned businesses. Thank you very much. I'm almost done, I promise. Wells Fargo also wants to eliminate any language barriers that our customers have when they want to access their information. So this year, I'm happy to say that just a few days ago, we launched Spanish text banking. We call it Banca por Texto, which allows our Spanish-speaking customers to access their information from balances to transfers. Extremely convenient. I signed on 2 weeks ago. If you've not had a chance, text banking, it's extremely convenient, it's free. Please do try it. You know, the road to owning a prosperous small business can be filled with a lot of peaks and valleys, and we want you to know that Wells Fargo is here, and we've been here, and we're ready to join and guide you on this journey, whether you're just starting out or you want to make your business more successful. Our hope is that during the next few days, you'll take full advantage of the resources and the wealth of knowledge being shared at this conference. Again, thank you for your time. Welcome to Salt Lake City, and enjoy the conference. Thank you very much.